a little bit under control.
Okay.
I had to go
Before,
out and come back.
yeah, thank you for joining us. So I'm just gonna
Welcome.
touch on, everybody doesn't know, but you are one of our followers on a different platform. And every time we post, you got some real stuff to say, right? Some stuff that make us raise our eyebrows. And so a lot of
Yeah.
times when we get these unfavorable comments or remarks, we always automatically assume, not just us, but the other people in the comments, like, oh, this must be a bit of baby mama, or this must be somebody who's butt hurt over a man, because why are you commenting that way? And just to add, you had said something along the lines that you wouldn't put your baby daddy out, you wouldn't spit on him if he was on fire or something like that.
I did,
So
and I still mean it.
okay,
Oh,
so
okay. We're gonna get
that's what
down to
caught
the
out,
bottom of it.
our eye with you. And as any woman that comes on the platform, we always have to let you guys know that this is not all about men, right? This isn't
Mhm.
a woman bashing thing. If we find that a man is a deadbeat, you a deadbeat. Whoever is a deadbeat, that's why it's called Who's the Deadbeat, because we really trying to figure out who's doing the
But
bullshit, right?
we're not here
So
to
Yeah.
judge.
no judgment, be transparent. It's just we want everybody to see that we do listen to women as well, and we do give you guys a voice as well. If you have some things that you want to share, that we do allow that space for women as well. So thank you again for coming up. Before
Mhm.
we get started, what's your name?
I'm Brooklyn. I'm from Brooklyn.
Brooklyn.
So
And you calling us from Brooklyn too?
no, I'm in Georgia actually.
Okay, you in Georgia. How many
Yeah.
kids do you have?
I have four.
How many different men?
Two.
Okay. What are the ages of your kids?
Uh 27, 24, 23, and 20.
Okay. So, who are you? What's the situation? Did you alienate your kids, or do you feel you have kids with a deadbeat? What's going on?
Who's the
Who's the
deadbeat?
deadbeat?
The 27, 24, and 23-year-old's dad. He's the
Oh,
deadbeat.
and that's the
Yes.
first man that you had kids with, and then you
Yes.
have a child with a different man.
Yes.
Okay, so,
Was it
um,
a relationship, situationship?
hmm
What?
So we were together th- 5 years and three kids. Hold on a second.
Uh,
Okay. So we were together 5 years, three kids. Now, I'm not from Georgia. I'm from New York. So I met him here.
okay.
And when I met him, I was in school. And his first kid, my first kid. But his family did me dirty. It's like they were, oh, well, when I had my son, that's not your son. Trying to tell him anything just for us to break up. So he wasn't listening to none of it. So as I proceeded to, live in this state, um, it was like I finally got my first apartment and whatever. It's me, you, and my son. Started cheating. Still stayed with him at the time I was 19. Um, Started cheating. Still stayed with him. And the only reason why I did that because I couldn't go back home. My aunt was like, well, whoever got you pregnant, stay with him. So I had no choice but to stay in Georgia. So had a second child. But after my third child, that was it. Like I couldn't do it no more. He just kept cheating. And, once I finally got the feel of Georgia, I was like, that's it. So take care of my kids, three jobs with three kids at the time. I'm trying to take on his side or whatever that he's supposed to be doing. So you got this girl, still doing the same thing now. And then you turn around and have another child with another chick. Then
So
you go find.
was y'all still living together?
Oh no, oh no. I ended that like after my daughter, that was it.
so by the
So
time you had baby number three, the kids were pretty small. All of them, they were like
yeah,
kind of back to back.
they were toddlers. Yeah.
So when
They
you
were
left, how was so before you left? I know he was a serial cheater, but that's
mhm.
just the basis of your relationship. How was he as a father with them?
So it's kind of funny because at the time I was living in government housing. So I had got my first apartment and he called himself selling dope. I've never sold dope a day in my life, but I know if you get a brick, whatever you cut up, that's what you got. You know what I'm saying? So the complex that I was living in, he decided to take the dude's customers. That was not a good idea. So one day I was sitting outside with my daughter. My son was sitting in the house. At that time, I only had 2 kids. The guy came over, whatever. I'm sitting outside. Was telling him to come outside. So he came outside. Well, he came out halfway in, halfway out. Cause right then and there, I should have knew he couldn't fight because he was standing inside the door and halfway outside. So the dude, I heard you got my homeboys locked up and whatever. And of course, he trying to
Man.
explain himself. So he jumped. I was saying that on the end cap of the complex of the apartment building.
Mm-hmm.
He jumped off the porch, left me and my kids, and went to the back to his cousin's house. Cousin wasn't there. So he went from there to a whole nother neighborhood with um his cousin's dad lived. Left me and the kids now. So still I think I'm in my late 20s. Well, not so much as late 20s, but I was in my 20s then. Still it's my apartment and you're staying there, 2 kids. So I got my son, I got my daughter, we walked to the back to where his cousin lived. She wasn't home, so then I already knew where he went. So the next day, I got my kids and we went to over there where he was. I left my apartment, even though I'm paying rent, left my apartment and went over there he was. And I stayed, stay over there with him.
This
Because
was
I thought,
because you was concerned for y'all safety.
yeah, because I thought because they couldn't get to him, they all might do something to me. So I
Right.
left. So every
Okay.
now and again I go back, check my rent and check, my mail and stuff. The junkies done broke in, stole everything they could. The dishes, the dish rags, they stole everything that was not nailed down. So I
So
finally moved out of my apartment.
So you
Ended
felt
up
like he didn't protect. He wasn't a good protector as a dad, as a significant other.
no,
He wasn't doing his
so
part as a man for you and the kids.
so if by
no,
him doing all of that, he wasn't even supporting financially, being that he was a dealer.
no. He wasn't. He okay. So long as I've been living in the state of Georgia, that's how I come to find out. The in and outs of selling basically. So I know dope boys don't take change. He was taking everything, credit, the whole nine. That's what made the guys out there mad when they found out about it. And they were literally trying to run him off. But I
Mm.
didn't know that that's what he was doing. God said, if you're going to do this, don't bring this to my door. If you're going to sell it, go somewhere else. This is where we live. And he did it anyway. So
So
when they got,
him, so him being that like a dealer, cheating. Eventually, you had to leave. You got another apartment. But
so
how
no,
did?
I actually didn't get another apartment. I ended up staying with the house that he went to. We ended up just moving in there
And then that was
because
baby number three came about.
Um, yeah, a little bit down the line because all of my kids are 2 years apart.
Okay.
So we ended up in another. We ended up in another part of Atlanta, and then when I
Cause you
had
know what
my
people gonna say.
what?
Like if it was so bad and it was so horrible, why keep having kids with him?
Well, for one, I didn't have no choice but to stay with him because I didn't have any family here, and I still don't. Only family I have is my kids. So the only people that I could stay with is his people. And
Okay.
then when I got used to being here and getting around like I needed to, that's when I left.
Okay. So
Because
get us to that point when you left. What
so
happened? How did he feel about that? And where we get to the point that you won't spit on him to put him out of fire if you got a fire.
okay, so
There you go.
uh so after when I had my third child, um we were already, it was like it was it because I was going to work. I was going to work at night and going to school in the daytime for nursing. So he was
Okay.
at home with the kids or whatever because I there was no babysitter, there was no need because he was there.
Mm-hmm.
So I had left. I had just got a job, and he was at home with the kids. And the same dudes had came up on my porch. Never came on my porch before. Call themselves shooting craps. He came, opened the door. Y'all can't be here no more. Mind you, he wasn't strapped. None of that. They came, rushed in with my kids sitting in there, and they decided to rob him. and then he called the police, and that really ensued the way
Hold
he
on.
just
Wait a minute. So this guy called the police and he was a drug dealer?
yeah, he called the police and he
Oh,
pointed
okay.
out the two guys that robbed him. You don't
Okay.
do that. So
And
2 nights
especially now
later,
with small kids, like all these
yeah,
things, I don't hear nothing, no actions that's being taken that's in the best interest of the children, right? Like we
because
understand the gist of the situation, but
mhm,
we really need to get to the point of because he already doing deadbeat stuff, and
mm,
you was young too, so not that we're judging, but we already know how this goes. Like you in a situation where you're not making the best choices either for you and your
yeah,
kids, right? Because you were in that situation, but we're just trying to figure out because they're older now. It's been 20+ years.
mhm.
What how get us to the deadbeatness and what's
Okay,
going
so
on?
when initially when we just part ways, basically I made him move out. He started dating this girl. When he met her, she was 15, and he just stayed with her 7 years. Then she got pregnant. So my kids would now. I've never said, even when we weren't together, you can't never come get your kids. You can't never see your kids. I left that door open all the time. He came when he felt like it. He came when he wanted to. Never called, never did nothing. I would send my kids Christmas. Every time school closed, that's when they went over there, wherever he lived. Whether it was with a girlfriend, whether it was a friend, they stayed over there the whole when school was closed. The whole time they stayed.
Even with
And
you knowing the lifestyle he led, you was okay
well,
with
that
sending them?
then he stopped basically because he got scared because like I said, he can't fight, so he stopped. So he wasn't really doing that. So
Okay.
then, so he like that really scared him because like I said, he can't fight, so he just wasn't doing that no more. So he
Okay.
was just living with females basically.
Okay.
So
But that's
he
that's
was
what I was
living.
gonna ask you. If you kicked him out, then he like how was he living with a 50-year-old? Like
Well,
how
he
did
was
that
living
work?
with her. He was living with her and her mother.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
One of those.
So
We
yeah,
heard that be going around in Georgia, but not for like the dudes with money, the ones that ain't got it like that. They will move in with a chick and they mama. We
yeah.
experienced something like
He
that. So
really he didn't have nowhere to go because sometimes he was with his brother, or just whatever girl that he find interest in. Basically, that's where he went. So my kids would go over there and they would stay, and at one point they were like, "Well, mom, we don't going to go back over here no more." I said, "Okay, well, if y'all gonna be in the house, because they were of age to stay home. So if y'all gonna stay home, y'all need to do X, Y, and Z while I go to work." So they decided to stay home and stop. They didn't want to go back over there because they was every time they went, "Oh, y'all gotta do this, y'all gotta do that." But they just got over here. So why are they cleaning and doing all this extra? And they just walked in the door. So they got sick of that. I didn't know what was going on until they came home and told me. My kids were old enough to speak for themselves. They're in their preteens now. So it's like they were old enough to say, "Well, we don't want to go back over there." I left the door open, like I said. He knew everywhere I moved to. He had the
So you
address.
you,
He had
you never bagged him on that?
We always argued about that.
You and your
you
kids?
was against him making them have chores and stuff, or did you feel like he was just
No, it
they were
was
being
it it
mistreated or something?
it wasn't the chores. The house was already like that when they came. He wanted
Okay.
them to clean up what
After
everybody else
the
did.
to the people that were there. Okay.
Yeah. So
And you
they
said
didn't
he
like
had
it.
other kids too, right? At that time.
No. It was still just R3. And then
Okay.
when he was with the girl that he met that's 15 after 7 years, she ended up getting pregnant because they were dating for 7 years.
Gotcha.
So the girl, she would buy them stuff, and I wouldn't care. I ain't got to spend no money. Y'all want to do that, go ahead. So but he was never there, even at the house when they went there. He was never there. Still, he was out ripping and running the streets, and the kids was in the house with the girlfriend. So it was just like that's an ongoing thing. But my kids got tired of just going over there and having to deal with cleaning up behind somebody else. And they just walked in the door. Why am I cleaning up? Like, I don't live here. So why am I doing this? So I had a conversation with him and whatever. and it went left. So, but we will argue constantly about, okay, well, I wouldn't ask him for any money. I would be like, okay, well, go buy this, go buy that. You don't have to give me any money, just go get it. Now, when he was 16, he had got diagnosed with he was in a hospital actually for a month. He was in ICU. Nobody knew what happened. The night prior, he was smoking with his cousin and his brother, not knowing that his cousin laced it. And and he ended up getting MS. So now he has MS. So
From smoking.
yeah, sometimes when people, like, when you first start smoking, it reacts to people's bodies different. So he couldn't talk, walk, he couldn't do anything, and I was there for all of that. So he, now it's kicking in now. So now it's like, when he was a little younger, he had to do literally, he had to start all over. Like a elderly person, he literally was on a walker. He couldn't walk, he couldn't talk, he had tubes all down his throat. Mind you, I was there for all of that. ICU, going up there, sitting up there at the hospital, my kids at the house with his cousin, and he get out. As soon as he get better, he back doing the same thing. So it was like, at this point, I
So
had,
what part of all this is like disappointing for you? Because maybe, I mean, is it that you just felt like he didn't do enough? Because it still seems he was active. Like a straight deadbeat is like null and void. They not
Yeah.
doing nothing. They not finna be making sure no girlfriend about no clothes. They not finna be, you know what I'm saying? So
well,
They're not gonna be a part of
it's
that
not
kid's
the
life at
point.
all.
It's not that he made sure the girlfriend did that on her own.
mhm.
She did that on her own. He didn't ask them to, well, whichever one he was with, he didn't ask them to do anything. They did that on their own. So they were treating my kids like my kids were their kids.
I
So,
mean,
but
but it's kind of off the strength of him though, because that's who he in a relationship with.
yeah,
So
What he could have did better? Like what? How would you would have wanted it to go? It
okay,
so
so
that
like,
you wouldn't feel the way you feel about him. You know what I'm saying? What could have done differently?
so like when I asked him to, if they needed clothes, if they needed shoes, like if I move into a new place, if they needed furniture, whatever the case may be, just go get it. I don't care what you get, just go get it. I tell you what size they wear, just go get it and bring it. So, but it never happened. So he wasn't on child support. And then when I got tired of it, that's when I put him on child support. So when I put him on child support, his brother actually got mad at me because I put him on child support. Mind you, his family know he wasn't doing anything for our kids. So the brother decided to contact defects and just make up something. Oh, I slapped my daughter. At the time, my daughter was 4. I slapped my daughter. I lock them in the room. And at the time, I was living in government housing. There's no way you could lock the door without popping the lock. You can't lock the door. So he got upset because I put his brother on child support. So I got like one payment and that was it. They stopped. So he was in arrears. And then when he ended up getting Social Security, I couldn't touch it because of the type of Social Security it was. So we went to court again, and the judge was like, well, because of the type of Social Security it is, he would have to voluntarily give you money out of the check. I was like, okay, cool. She was like, well, he can give you $35 a child. I said, $35 at the time they were little. I said, what am I going to do with that? So he never did. So when he finally got when they finally really gave him the check, he got a lump sum. So I told him, I said, okay, and I had just put my kids some clothes on layaway. I said, well, since you got this, this amount of money, start a bank account for him. At least put, you know, $100 in each, and I'll just continue putting the money. He wouldn't do it. So when with the layaway, I took him to the mall with me. I said, well, could you get this off since you have the money to do it? So when he got it off, he put the receipt in his pocket. Well, now I got the receipt. You can't say I didn't do nothing. But these are your kids. So when the judge say this, that, and that, you can't say, I didn't do nothing, but this is your job. You having a receipt means nothing. This is what you're supposed to do. Never
But
bought
this
my
is the
kids.
thing. Okay, so what was his pushback? Because a lot of times women, not all women, right? But
Mhm.
most will try to take sole control of how and dictate how every little thing is gonna go with how they want this man to care for their kids. So like even if it's say it's you said it, I asked him to do this, he wouldn't do it. I said all you gotta do is do this, don't give me money, I just want you to buy this, he wouldn't do it. That's still a certain level of control because if
Mhm.
you're dictating to him how you want him to take care of the kids, some men don't take that well. You know what I mean? Like if he's not doing something, I know you just trying to say, well, hey, the kids need this. You don't gotta give me no money. Just do this. But I don't know, just based off how y'all were as a couple, whatever
Mhm.
the issue was being with you together, he probably didn't want you telling him what to do. He just wanted to do for his kids how he wanted to do for his kids. And if that's nothing, then of course that's nothing to work with. But I'm just trying to figure out why is he doing stuff here and there? That means it's something about the situation that he doesn't like of how you're trying to tell him what to do.
Mhm.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, was it a set basis when you was trying to tell him, let me get this for them or can you do that for them? And he just was like, no, 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 no. I'll do what I want to do. Because for him to take a receipt and say, okay, I'm just going to do this so you won't say I did nothing. I mean, you're still working with him if y'all going to the mall together and stuff like this.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Why y'all could never
Well,
find a common
the
ground?
the mall situation, it was a one time thing, but it's like I wouldn't call him. I really wouldn't like tell him, okay, well, it wasn't all the time. Well, you go buy this, you go buy that. So because I was working so many, not so much as so many jobs, but I was just working a lot, and I was literally taking his side basically as far as financial wise. Now, his thing with is he wanted the shoes and the clothes for himself. Um, it wasn't, well, when I go shopping or what, because at the time we only got one son and two girls. When I go get my haircut, let me go pick up my son. Like most men do, we go get my son. We both gonna get a haircut or whatever. It was never that. I would take my son, or at the
But
time I
that's
said,
that's that's just it because a lot of times women take over. And I'm not by no means defending him. I'm just trying to
mhm,
be clear because if you are like, okay, you don't do it, you didn't take them, I'm gonna take them, and then you gonna keep taking them. Some men will be like, well, take them then, because it's like you stepping in the way of certain things because it's not moving how you want it to when you want it to move. And a lot of times men will they shouldn't, but they do just fall back. And so that's what I'm trying to figure out. Where did that? Because you said already you didn't want money. Why? Why not? Why not say, give me this set amount? And that probably could have been easier for him than just saying, buy this or buy that or do this, do that. You know what I'm saying? Like
well, I
I'm trying
mean,
to figure out why
it
y'all
was,
couldn't.
but it was easier when the judge said give me a certain amount. He still didn't do it. So whether I asked him for the money or not, I wasn't gonna get it.
So how
So
was
it's
your
like,
relationship with his girlfriends?
um, we've spoken. There was never any type of animosity or nothing like that. No fighting, no none of that. Cause you know, it's like because I was way older than her, she was a child to me basically. So it's like it wasn't no need for none of that. I didn't care who he was with. I just wanted him to do what he needed to do for them. And it was like basically even when he was with them, it was still other women with children, and he would come to my house with a car full of kids, and I'll be like, okay, well, where's all these kids coming from? Oh, this is my friend kids. This is my friend kids.
But
He
why do
comes
you
to,
care?
but I'm saying you coming to my house with kids,
To
and you're
pick up
doing
his
for.
kids.
But listen, he coming to my house with kids, doing for them and not doing for his own.
But what did you see him doing for them?
Shoes, food, clothes. My kids didn't get none of that. He would come to
What
my
I'm
house,
asking is, how do you know he was physically doing it? If he's with a woman that will take care of your kids, how you know that the
but
woman
no,
wasn't
he
taking care of their
wasn't.
young kids?
It's not like he was with them. He was messing with the mother. The girlfriend was at home. Him and the girlfriend was living together. He's still doing
So
the cheating thing.
Got it.
so here's the thing. Like a deadbeat don't do nothing. So you said that he was there. Sometimes he picked him up. He went over there. He picked him up. He bought him some so-so. Now, based off of what you just said,
No, no. I
yes.
didn't say no. I said that I would take them. He would never come get them. I took them to his house. I would drop them off and I would pick them up. So he never came to my house to pick them up.
So he was just lazy.
Yeah.
Cause he could have easily just said, "Don't I'm not there," or "Don't drop them off."
Well, I knew
Some
he. What I would tell him that I'm coming. He would know on Fridays that they would come and they would stay until Sunday. He never told me they couldn't come. He just
All
was
right.
never there.
All right. So get us to that big bang of why you said,
Okay, so at
because
one point,
obviously it was some grounds of communication still there at this point. So what
kind of
was the
sort of, it was
yeah,
kind of sort of what really pissed me off with him, like really did it for me. My kids, I think the last time that they went over there, my oldest son, I think at the time he was like 11 to 12. I think I was taking them some food and some clothes, and they were in the house with some other kids, but the other kids was grown. Well, not grown, but teenagers. And they was like, well, your son said he wanted to kill himself. And that pissed me off. I'm like,
unalive
what happened?
itself? We got to say unalive.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I don't want to block
So
the live.
so after that, I took him to this place that I knew to try to see like what was the problem because he wouldn't talk to me. So then when we got in there and we sat
How old
there.
was he at the time?
He was 11.
Okay.
So he got upset because at the time this time it's a different girl, but they're living together. And he took her son to go get a haircut and get shoes, but then take my son with them. So my son got upset and he said that. So when I talked to him about it, oh well, he just upset, this and the third. Don't pay him no attention. He just talking. But your son said that. Any child say that to their parents, because most kids don't say that, just do it. So when he
Right.
said that and you didn't do anything about it, that was it for me. Like I just couldn't do it. So
Did you talk to your son about it?
I did,
To
and he said that he was upset because his dad took the little boy to get a haircut and new clothes and new shoes, and then take him. And they were all staying in the same apartment. Well, that was him and his girlfriend's apartment. So he came when my son was already there. He came back with the little boy, and the little boy had a haircut and some shoes and stuff. Mind you, his mom doesn't work. Well, she's not living anymore, but she wasn't working at the time. So everything was coming out of his pocket. He took him, and did
So
whatever. And
what you think his problem was? Do you think that he was
I
still want? Do you think he still wanted you?
I don't know. I really don't know. So with okay, so with you asking me that, one of his brother's friends told him basically, be nice to her. Maybe she'll let you come back and whatever. I'm like, no, that's it. Like we were together 5 years, and the way I was done, it was like he only did me that because I couldn't go back home. I didn't have any family here, and I didn't know anything about living in a shelter. So I didn't know where one was if I did wanted to go. So I was just like kind of stuck until I did understand how to get around out here. So after I had my kids, like I said, it was it. Then it's like trying to talk to him, it didn't work. It was always an
So
argument.
so let me ask you. So what do you think was his motive then? Like, why do you
I
think
I
he was treating your kids so different than other kids? Like, I
I,
don't.
I I don't know. I know most of the guys here, they try to be nice to the kids to get closer to the mother. That be most of the time, most of the things here in Georgia. Like a lot
so
of the
is
guys,
he? Would you consider him a deadbeat or a bitter baby daddy? Because those are like they could be one and the same, but they can also be separate.
uh,
Because
uh, well, he
his
was okay.
actions
So
ain't really completely deadbeat, in my opinion.
well, when
But he
okay, so
could be bitter towards you.
when he
And
would get any type of money, and if he did decide to show up, he would have on new clothes and new shoes. I'm like, well, when he would come, I was like, damn, where they stuff at? Oh, and then he'll be like, oh, well, I ain't buy these. Somebody else bought them. And typically, somebody else would. I said, well, then if they're buying you stuff, then you got money. You can go
so
get your
he
kids
just
some stuff.
coming around and rubbing in your face that he got on a nice fitted
Yeah.
shoes.
Like, I
He,
Because
don't get it.
why?
but
What
he
is he
still,
coming to see the kids, or is he coming to just
no,
piss you off? Like what's
Or
happening?
was y'all
well,
intimate?
oh, no. Mm-mm. But no, not after what I seen it with. No. Mm-mm.
So
Never
you
that.
never did anything with him after
After you left?
after you left?
No.
So get okay. So you ended up having another baby with a different man.
Yeah.
Was it ever some run-ins there, or is he
Um.
totally he completely different than the father that we're speaking about to his
Yeah.
kids?
He is. He was like he's a little older than me, but when they met, when they finally did meet, like I said, my kid's father can't fight. So when they met, he was my son's father's a bigger size. So he was afraid to say anything to him, and he wouldn't say anything to me in front of him. There was no arguing, nothing. So it was like it was fine, but we broke up because of he's just insecure, and I just can't, I just couldn't deal with that. So I was like, okay, after my last child was 4, I was like, that's it, and
But why
I
would he
didn't have
say something bad to you in front of your new
because
child's
we would,
father? Like if
but
it's no beef, you know?
well, we would the arguments would be about my kids. It wouldn't necessarily be anything about me and him. It would just be about my kids. So I would get upset about certain things, and it would be like then it'll turn into argument. But if you say something wrong to me, I already know what's gonna happen, so I'm like, I ain't got time for that.
Did
So
you ever bash him to the kids?
oh no, no,
Because
I
I know
had,
you said your daughter, she would have joined with us tonight if she could,
yeah,
but she wasn't available, and she's 23.
yeah.
What would she have got on here to say? What?
Okay,
Because
so um
do the kids feel that he's a deadbeat, or like what's the?
Yeah,
yeah,
do they have a
they
relationship with him?
okay, so my 2 daughters, well, one of them don't speak to him at all. She will not talk to him. She don't have nothing to do with him. My son, every now and again, he'll talk to him, but currently she lives with him. She doesn't want to live with me because I live out too far. So she moved in with him, and like the MS is like really, I guess it's getting really bad. So he so-called needed a caregiver, which he really didn't. He just wanted a 2-bedroom apartment. So okay, well, if I get my daughter to move in, they'll give me a 2-bedroom. So now that he's in a two
You know
bedroom,
a lot about him to say so you don't talk to him or nothing like that.
my daughter, because she tells me she lives there. So
But is she there for the right reasons? Is it
no,
to actually
no,
bond for her dad, or is it to get a
no.
paycheck?
Okay, so um she works, but he was getting Social Security. And right now they cut him off because he was doing a little fraud, basically. So
Mm.
the girl that he was with, like I said, they was together 11 years. It's a new girl, but they don't have any kids together.
So how
So
many women total did he have your kids around?
I don't know. The only 2 I know of is the ones he lived with. Now, if it
Okay,
was any more, I don't know.
got you.
So, the one that he was with 11 years. They decided to get married because his aunt told him if the MS, kicked in to the point where, it take a toll on your limbs, I'm going to stick your ass in a nursing home. So he married her thinking, okay, well, she can't do that because my wife can take over. But it flipped around. The wife ended up getting sick, and she ended up bedbound or whatever. He didn't take care of her either. That's
So
like
your kids told you that too as well?
my daughter, because she was back and forth there. At the time, she wasn't living there because they was in a 1 bedroom. So she was just back and forth, just going over there. Actually, he was calling her to help him take care of her. The wife was in a nursing home. He pulled her out and brought her home. And they specified basically if you take her out, she won't be able to get medicated or whatever. He still took her out. So I told my daughter, I said, well, it's about money. And it was. So he took her out of the nursing home, brought her back to the house. Wasn't taking care of her, bed sores, the whole nine. So he was getting Social Security, like I said, for himself. He wanted her there because he knew if she was sick, she can get Social Security too. But what he messed up at is he ended up being her payee. Social Security found out about it, and they cut his check off. So right now he owes them 20K. Everything that he does has to revolve around money. Now, with my kids, even when they became of age to work, if they needed to go somewhere and they asked him, "Oh, you got to give me gas money. You got to give me gas money." But if it was anybody else, he wouldn't ask for gas money. It's my kids, like my son, he stayed with him. and he tried to make my son pay all the utilities while he kept his money in his pocket and went shopping. My son didn't like that. Came to my house, told me, I said, okay, well, you can stay here. Um, he actually has 7 kids. Um, 3 are mine, and the other 4 is the two baby
Well,
So
mamas.
let's get back to why the daughter over there. You said she's not there for good attention, so why is she
I
there
I
then?
don't. To me, I don't think so because I don't know if she's trying to do get back because he didn't do anything for her, but she's there supposedly supposed to be his caregiver or whatever. She needs somewhere to live, but she can live in my house. I have 4 bedrooms, but she don't want to live with me because I don't allow the friends to hang out, the smoking, the whole. I don't allow that. So she can do whatever she want with him. So um she's there, but he won't allow her to do like to take care of him like she should, basically a caregiver. I used to be a caregiver, so I told her what to do and what to expect. So I was like, okay, so if you're going to be overseeing anything for him, you need to have access to his money. Then come to find out he has no more money because of the fraud. So he wants, okay, so now it's another person living in the home, not supposed to be there, but they're there. So he wants my daughter to pay utility bills. The other person that's there is paying him to stay there. So when they pay the rent, he takes that, uses it for women, and wants my daughter to pay the utilities. I said, well, yeah, you stay there. I said, but per being a caregiver, you don't have to pay anything. So she's there. She don't call him dad. She called him by his first name. She's very disrespectful to him. Um,
and you don't say anything about this
I
stuff.
don't know.
Why? Because she's an
There's no
adult.
need. He can correct that. I don't need to.
So
He
this
could have
is
corrected
okay. So
that.
let me give you my 2 cents.
Hmm.
Wait before I do that. Did you? Why do you like our platform? Like, how can you relate? Because do you feel that you had kids
Okay,
with a
so
deadbeat? Because it's really like with all the contact, even with the kids been around, it just sounds like he was a horrible
He
person.
could have done more, but to call him a deadbeat, I don't think you could put that
I
label
just
on there
think
because
that,
he always been there.
but I just think that he just a
physically,
shitty
physically,
person. Like you don't like
physically,
him as a person, right? And
no, I
it didn't
don't.
go right. It didn't go well the way that you wanted it to in certain instances, and he probably didn't do what he could have done and done better. Like as our parents, right? Sometimes we fail our kids, but at this point, if you not willing to just try to set the tone for your kids to be positive, then
Hmm.
you're just as bad as him. So that's
Not
why I'm trying to
necessarily.
figure out.
I mean, that's your opinion, but she's 23. She can, however she wants it. If he doesn't correct it, that's his house. I didn't know she was doing any of that until I heard her on the phone with him. So
But then you correct when they had to clean up.
still, I didn't have anything to do with that. I spoke to him because they asked me to, and that was the end of that. So if they did it, they did it. But that's not my house. I can't say, well, you don't have to
So do
because you
you
didn't
think
do
you
it.
a bitter baby mama?
No. How?
In
I
no
mean, why
way.
would I be? No, no.
This is why you would be, because he has done some things that will make you bitter. Now it ain't just about your actions. I'm talking about how you feel. Because
Mm,
if you would feel this way towards somebody for a number of years because they didn't do some things, that doesn't take away the fact that you feel this way. Now, I'm not saying that you acted as a bitter baby mama in terms of keeping his kids from him or bashing him or doing these things that we know as a parental alienation. But if you didn't step in to be positive, then you played a part in the bullshit as well.
hmm.
Do you
I
think
mean,
this?
I get what you're saying, but it just, however the pot was stirred, I just let it stir. I didn't I didn't just like, okay, well, a lot of women, they keep the kids from the dad because they're not together or because they got a new girlfriend. I never done none of that. So it's
But you
like I
won't
said,
spit on him if he on fire.
I won't, and I still won't. I
Right.
still won't.
So
But
somewhere you are feeling some anger or some bitterness about his actions. It don't mean that you will not see your kids, but are you sending the kids on good faith or good intentions, or is it just to be like where your daughter is today, where she feel like, okay, I can get some money out of him, so I'm gonna go be his caregiver? That's conniving. You see what
Well,
I'm saying?
no, how could she get money out of him? He has no money. There's nothing
But
to
you
get
y'all
out of
didn't know
him.
that at first.
until you figured it
No,
out.
there is no money. The only money that's there is with her
Because
working.
what would she would have told us tonight? Just her feelings about her dad, and then we would have started asking her, why does she
Pretty
feel that
much,
way?
pretty much, yeah.
So let me ask you this. So you said that you would spit on him, right? You made that comment.
No, she won't spit on
She
him.
I
she won't
wouldn't.
spit
If
on
he
him,
on
I
right?
won't.
fire, she
If he
won't put him out with a spit.
okay, so
That's deep.
if you can address that on a social media platform, you mean to tell me you never addressed these feelings in front of your kids before?
No, no.
They don't
We
know how
we
you feel
would
about
we
him.
would when we would argue, it would be outside the home. It would not be, well, it'll be at my home, but it would be outside. The kids would be upstairs or they'll be in the backyard. I wouldn't typically argue because I do use a lot of choice of words. And it's like, kids pick up on stuff, even though, yeah, they were preteens, but my choice of words wouldn't be what the next person would use. And when I say something, I'm not taking it back.
So
It's
you
not
don't
because I'm
think
mad. It's not because I'm mad. It's because that's just how it come out.
you
So with
don't
me,
think that the way you felt about him wasn't projected onto them kids
no.
from both of y'all, because he did have some actions that made them feel some way.
Definitely
But
did.
you validated those feelings because when they
Mm-mm.
come home saying, "Mom, I don't like the fact that he took another boy to get a haircut and I'm his son, he didn't take me." You telling us that you sat there and just was like, "Well, give your daddy another chance," or was you like, "You right, he shouldn't have did that," and blah 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 blah. So you gotta understand, years of that doesn't make it better either. And so that's
Mhm.
why we love to hear people share their side to kind of figure out where we can bridge that gap to let
Mhm.
other parents know who still have small children the do's and don'ts. Because even if you got a kid with somebody that ain't doing what you think they should, or they're not doing the best that they can, it's still not your place to have an opinion about them as a parent, because you only doing as best as you can too. So you got to allow your kids to feel how they gonna feel, and encourage them to understand from a kid level, not from an adult
Because
level.
it was something that you said, like when you said like he need to spend more money. I mean, he need to send money to, like, if I need some furniture in my household, I would never ever buy
No,
furniture
no,
for
no,
my
no,
baby
no,
mama.
no, 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 no. Back up. I never said I needed furniture in my household.
For
If
the
it was
kids.
anything, it was anything for the kids. It wasn't for me. It was for them.
Yes,
So
and
let's say, like,
with that being
let's.
said, that you confirmed it that way, and you said it that way, I would never go buy nothing for my baby mama household for my kids. I
Well,
would.
that's
That's what
fine.
I'm.
I at the end of the day, I ended up doing it by myself regardless. But at the same time, if I'm telling you what your kids need, and at the time when I was telling him, I knew it wasn't gonna happen. I still was asking him to see if it was gonna get done. At the time, I knew it wasn't gonna get done, but I still had to ask. It's not like, well, you never asked me, so how am I supposed to know? I asked you still, even though I know you wasn't gonna do it. I still asked.
So let me
So.
ask. So let me ask you this then. What
Mhm.
what what was something? What are some things that you think he could have done better besides providing
Okay, so he
financially?
could he could have physically, mentally, emotionally been there for them. It was always when they came over, he was going out the door and he didn't come back home until the very next day. So
But
they were
he was
always.
already like this when they was being made and born. You see what I'm saying?
No,
So
no, no, no. He wasn't doing that in my house. He started
But you,
doing that when he left. So the going out and the leaving and staying out to the next day, that wasn't happening.
so he was a great father before
before
he
he
No,
left.
he
left.
was never great.
But
He
that's
was
what
never
that's what
great.
I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. When we first talked about when the kids were small, I said, "How was he as a dad?" Remember? And you were like, he basically wasn't there. He was cheating. He would watch them. I know you said when you went to either school or work or something because he was
Yeah, cause he,
there,
cause
but
at,
that doesn't make that's not his fathering. Like we needed to know what patterns it was because again, you having multiple children, and then now y'all separate because he not the man for you, right? And
mm-hmm.
then all this stuff that's going on is kind of expected because you already seen the type of person he was before y'all went y'all separate ways. So why was your expectations set higher? Okay, this is what I'm trying to say, and this ain't no shade to you. This is just general. If you with somebody and it's not working out, and they doing all this stuff that they shouldn't be doing when y'all together as far as the kids. Why do people think that magically once y'all separate, they gonna do this, and this? It's gonna either be like it was or get worse. It's not gonna necessarily get better because they already shown you who they are. So why do some women set this bar for men to think just because they have these kids that it's gonna just magically be a certain way. You already dealing with a human being that didn't have their shit together. So why would he
So,
have it together now that y'all separate? So that's what I mean by expectations. Like the standards are set way too high for him because he already disappointed you and proved you right that he wasn't doing the right things before y'all separated. So
mm-hmm.
to me, whatever plan y'all could have come up with, and I know you did your best as you were still trying to, keep the kids around. Right. Kudos for that.
Yeah.
It's never no shade on that because you could have been the one like, no, my kids ain't going over there with all these different women. I'm surprised to hear that you allowed your kids to go around so many times. It was so many different women that
Well,
we
I
know
mean,
at that point you didn't want him. So that's not the issue. Like how some women do these things because they may still be connected to the man or want the
mhm.
man. With you in your case, for us, it's more so like why are you setting yourself up for a disappointment that's just not gonna happen? You have to just step in and do the best for your kids. They'll eventually see what type of person he is, but you
Well,
don't
that's
make it worse.
initially that's what I did. I sat there and I allowed them to go around basically to see, it wasn't my place to say, okay, well, your dad ain't shit. I had to let them see that for themselves. And that's the reason why my other daughter don't speak to him to this day. So it's like even when at the time when my daughter was in school, she started having pseudo seizures. So I was in and out of the hospital with her, and I would call him, okay, we at the hospital, we at such such hospital. He would never come. And it's just one time he came, and and it's like he's just sitting there, and I'm sitting there, whatever, listening to the doctor, and he's just asking all type of questions. But as this stuff is going on, I'm literally on it. Even though he's not there, not doing whatever, I still let him know, okay, well, this is going on with X, Y, and Z, in school. This is going on because you talked to him, this, and this. So it wasn't like, just because, no, he wasn't doing anything. I was still leaving him, in the doorway of you knowing what's going on with your kids. A lot of people, they'll be like, okay, well, because you're not there financially, whatever, like that. I'm not telling you nothing. I don't have to tell you nothing. He could never say he was never in the loop for none of them. But what got me is, it's just the extra that I had to do. I'm wearing myself down, working 3 jobs to take care of 3 kids, and you live, not so much as a cush life, but you can go and rip and run and do whatever. Your kids are coming to your house. I have to bring food over there, and you live in the house. I got to bring
That's
food in.
crazy.
And
That's
then
crazy.
the food that I'm bringing, 2 days later, I'm bringing more food because your girl, and her son is eating up their stuff, and then I got to bring more food. I'm bringing, clean clothes, but when your kids come to your house, why am I bringing food? I didn't mind at the time. My kids had to eat, so I would
That's
bring food.
why. And see, that's another thing. And I hate to sound harsh, and I know they're gonna try to come for me, but look, I'm ready, right? As parents, we tend to try to fix everything, but them are his kids too. You know
Yeah,
why he wasn't putting food in there? Because he knew you was gonna bring it. You know why he wasn't doing
Definitely
nothing? Because he
did.
knew you was gonna do it. And so, yes, I'm not saying by no means we all different when it comes to our kids, and I'm a mom as well. So I
Mm-hmm.
get it. We don't want our kids to suffer, especially at the hands of nobody else. But when it's the other parent, that's is 50% of their uh kid
Yeah.
as well. And so sometimes you just have to bite the bullet to make them, in a way, be responsible, or you have to make other decisions. But you cannot get upset for being the person that did these things when you chose to do them. Because I'm not dropping no food. If I drop my kids off, you better make sure they ate.
Cause,
And if you don't make sure they eat, then yeah, we're gonna have a problem, and then maybe they won't get dropped off the next time. So I'm certain that they're gonna have food.
cause really, he was using you just like how he was using them other
That's
girls. Cause
all.
he knew that you was
Mm-hmm.
gonna always show for your
That's
kids.
all.
So
And
he
it's
was
not
finessing
no
the
shade to you
situation.
again. It's just this is what so many women go through because y'all already laid down the red carpet. So you
Mm-hmm.
can't complain about the celebration. You helped plan it. You a part of it. Even though you didn't do the bad things that a lot of these women do, right? You still helped facilitate this comfortability for him to be able to not show up the way that he should have been
Yeah,
showing
and
up
he
on
could
the
he could
feet.
have definitely done more. I wouldn't call him a deadbeat, but he definitely could have done more. Like what? So what is your definition of a deadbeat? Somebody said that in the comments.
So it's okay. So with me, basically, you have kids. You know, you take care of them financial. You're there financially, physically, emotionally. You're there for your kids. Whether you get along with the other parent or not, you're still there. Whether no matter the type of relationship you have, like like with me and him, it doesn't matter. I could care less what me and him went through as long as he was there for them. And that wasn't the case. It was everybody else and himself except for them. And that's what would piss me off with him. It was everybody else, the brother, the cousins, the friends. It was everybody else and
Well, you
not them.
already said he couldn't fight, so we already
No,
know he was
he couldn't.
a weak man. That's all I hear. Like I don't hear like manly man take care of responsibilities. Not so much as just complete deadbeat, but soft.
Did you
It sounded like he
So
was soft.
did you beat him up?
I almost did.
Oh, because you keep saying he can't fight. I
Right.
thought maybe you
You
put your head
standing on
across.
that.
So let me ask you. So how is your relationship with your other daughter, your youngest, with her father?
My son.
Okay.
He's 20 and we still kind of sort of argue, but it's like the stuff that he when my son was in high school, he allowed him to smoke. He introduced him to weed. And I know kids gonna do that, but if he's living in my house and I'm still responsible for him, why would you allow him to do that? Why would you say it's okay? So as my son got older, when he graduated high school, it was really not too much that I could say. But it's just the stuff that you allow him to do, and I don't know anything about it. And then I get the backlash of, okay, so what happened? What happened? Because if something happened and my son to say, okay, well, dad, mom, I'm going to spend the weekend with my dad. Okay, cool. I know that's where you are. But the last incident, he was in a car accident with his dad's girlfriend daughter. But you're supposed to be in the house, but you're with someone in the car, no insurance, smoking in the car, especially in Atlanta. Both of y'all could have went to jail. I'm thinking you in the house with him. You are ripping and riding, and instead of telling me anything, he just let him go. So I'm like, okay. At the time, I think he was like 18. He was still in high school, about to graduate. But I'm like, if you telling me something, that's where you at. That's where I expect you to be. Out here, it's like, even with me just sitting out here in my car, and then this side of town, regardless, it's just so much be going on. It's like you can't even walk to the store without getting shot, getting robbed. Even if you give them what they asked for, they still gonna shoot you. And then the side of town his dad live on, it's not an ideal place to even just, you can't even just sit outside without getting involved into something, and you don't even know where he is, what's going on, or whatever. So it
Okay.
upsets
So go ahead. Go ahead.
so it upsets me with him, with how okay, well, you got to let him grow up. I get that. But I still need to know, what's going on. Yes, that's your house, but you can't. Most of the time, he can't even take control of his own house because there's so many people in there. And when my son come over there, it's like, oh well, he could do this and he could do that. And
So what type of father do you consider him? Is he a deadbeat too, or is he
no,
just
he's actually not. He actually, I even with him, we split up. My son was 4. He did what he was supposed to do. I initially would just ask, okay, well, do this and do that, whatever. When my son needed stuff, go call your dad because I can't do it right now. Or,
he would help you? He
yes,
picked up where you felt you
yes,
needed
he did.
fixing.
So for the people that's watching, they're gonna say, all right, you had 2 failed relationships, you got 2 baby daddies, and there's issues.
Yeah,
And they might say you the problem. What do you say to that?
I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I really, because
That's fair. That's
it's like,
fair.
it's like for me, you know what I'm saying? The life I had to grow. I moved out here. I was 17. I'm 45. So I had to grow up, a little bit faster than, I expected, especially having a child at 18, because I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't have anybody to help me. So I had to learn everything on my own. So a lot of stuff that I came into contact with, I didn't know what to do with it. Like as far as him cheating, I didn't know how to deal with that. I've never experienced that before. So I didn't know what to do. It's like, okay, well, it's easy to say, well, you should have left and go where and do what? I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know how to react to that. So it's like that was my first experience. But as I got older and just started understanding stuff, that's when I got the hell on, basically. It's like you're not gonna keep doing me wrong and I'm just going trying to go to work, trying to get some type of career because I'm really not what I used to be. I'm not a people person because of him. And it's like my way of dealing with people is like I just don't. I try not to deal with a lot of people on the regular because a lot of people say now, well, you look unapproachable. That's fine for me. I ain't got to worry about you talking to me. I ain't got to worry about you asking me no questions and nothing like that. But it's like now my eyes are open with whatever relationship I'm in because of how he did me. So it's like,
So do you think the kids suffered any trauma behind this stuff? Like what
um,
have have they healed? Like have you healed? Like because to hold that type of grudge with somebody
oh yeah, I listen.
for
If I'm
that
mad,
number of
it,
years, you
it
know.
depends. It depends on what I'm mad about. I can hold a grudge. I will hold one till I don't know. I don't care. I don't care how many times you apologize. That grudge gonna stay there. So it's like and it's not. I'm mad for myself. I'm mad for them. It's not for
So
me.
what
It's
are
for
you
them.
teaching them as far as their dad? Like
Well, I try like when my daughter tell me stuff that she do now that she's old enough to really understand because she has a child herself and she's kind of sort of like not so much as alienate the dad from my grandbaby, but it's just the stuff that she says and does, and I tell her, basically
that's alienating.
you
Ain't no
shouldn't.
such thing as not so much. You're doing it or you're not. It ain't
But
no
I
it
mean,
ain't no straddling the fence with alienation. Like parental alienation is either a yes or a no.
Yeah.
So
well,
she
yeah,
probably doing it. Tell her to stop.
yeah. So
Tell
I
her
talked
to
to her. I
stop.
Yeah.
explained. I explained to her basically as far as what her dad did and what she could potentially do with her daughter's dad. So I was like, you don't want the same thing to happen. Basically, now he's trying to be there. Now, what pissed me off with her, he's trying to be there and she's making it a little hard for him now. The way he lives, I don't like him. Um, and it's like he does a lot. The drinking, the smoking, he's always drunk. And I'm like, are you sure you want her to go, with him or around him because of the drinking and the smoking? If he's always drunk, how is he gonna keep an eye on her? How are you gonna make sure that, she's eating, she this, she that? Because, like I'll every now and then I'll talk to her. Did you call and talk to her? Did you do this? Did you do that? This is her first child. But it's like, she's real petty. I'm petty as hell. So she's like another side of me, basically. But I try to get her to understand, don't do the baby like that. She's only 5. Don't do her like that because you don't need to confuse her with anything. she's only 5. She sees you, she sees him. That's all she sees until
But
she
what is
starts
she
under.
doing? Don't do her like what?
So basically, like if he'll want to come get her, basically he's from Chicago. So if he wants to take her out of town, I said, well, pretty much you need to go with her because you don't know. I don't know anybody in
That's
Chicago and she
parental
doesn't.
alienation. And I know
So
you doing this and saying that for safety reasons,
yeah.
but if there wasn't an issue there with his drinking and his habits, that's exactly what it would be. It's a control factor. As
Mhm.
women, we always think it's about being safe. But again, he has the responsibility to keep his child safe, just like she has the responsibility to keep the child safe. So,
Yeah.
I mean, not to get too deep diving into their relationship, because neither one of them are even here, right, to
Mhm.
defend themselves or even speak on it. But you just have to be careful, and you got to know that it's a fine line between what you can and can't do, or what you should and shouldn't do. Not can and can't do, because people think they can do a lot of shit, but should and shouldn't do with children at a very young age. Number one, and number two, when going against another parent, because it's y'all kid together, right? Yeah. And they could be the worst, stupidest, dumbest person on earth, but it's still their child too. And so you have to figure out a way to make it as safe as possible. If that means going to court to get supervised visits or
Exactly.
doing things to put in place so that you can ensure the safety of the kid the positive and right way, then you know you did your part. But when you interfering and then it's in a negative way or a way that's gonna affect the child and you think that it's all because you tried to step in, you got to think about it and be careful and be strategic the way it's done.
It's a fine line.
Because we as people are so uneducated in terms of how to raise these children, especially in conflicting situations and emotional situations, and just it's just all screwed up. And so if we
Mhm.
don't have the resources and the backing to understand how to do this stuff to protect the child, like to literally protect them, and I mean their mind, their feelings, their heart, their thoughts, that like if you don't know that, you're gonna end up screwing it up anyway. And so this is why we do this. And I want to thank you for coming on the platform, being
Mhm.
transparent, being honest, because again, this stuff is not one size fit all. Everybody's situation is different. Everybody's story is different. But we really love to hear why somebody feel this way, why they do this, why they did that, to get us to where we are today, to be able to tell people, look, if you got a chance, you need to stop this stuff right now. Cause see, your
Mhm.
kids are 20 something, and you already explained your daughter is doing some stuff that she shouldn't be doing. It's because there's some daddy issues there. It's stemming from her own childhood trauma.
Like
Well,
you mentioned.
it is, and I see that, but she'll sit there and listen, but she's not listening. I know she's not listening. So it's like when I try to explain to her certain things, she feels that basically she do it because of X, Y, and Z. Like at one point I, got her hired to where I work. And I explained to her the ins and outs, like don't do this, don't do that. And I specifically told her what the company expects, and she did it anyway. I said, but I already told you what. Well, he shouldn't. Like somebody had hit her, and she pushed him, and she ended up getting fired. I said, but I told you ahead of time, don't do certain things because what would happen. And she ended up doing it anyway. And her response was, well, he shouldn't have put his hands on me. I said, but I told you you can't do this. And at the time we were working on the same floor. I said, you could have came and found me. I could have, helped you, did whatever. But my daughter is
Yeah,
like,
that's how these kids is nowadays. They don't be listening to nothing.
she
But I,
still
Yeah,
thinks
it's
but
she still thinks she's in high school. So any and everything she wants to fight. My
that's
daughter's
because she
23.
got a lot of her own anger and her own issues in front of her. And I think that you should encourage her to do some healing, whatever that looks like. Because a lot of times, especially with kids, they don't even know that they need that. They don't even know what they need. They don't know what's going on. They're just
Yeah,
reacting and responding and doing what they're used to seeing everybody else do. And but you as a
yeah,
mom, you still have that mark and that authority to try to point them in the right direction. And so I'm glad you came on tonight, because this may be have what you needed to hear, just to know you can still reach your kids. Just try to do it in a different way. Even if you acknowledge that you may have not done some things right by them either. It's not just their father, because no parent is perfect. So you have to be accountable as well, to say, listen, you got grandkids now. And if you seeing some things and you want her to do some things different, you got to take a step back, because you did not do every single thing right.
And that goes into my next question.
Mhm.
If you could have done what you could have done better. That's what I'm trying to say. Because heard you mention that you was telling her about your situation. So what are some things you think you could have done better?
As far as what?
Your situation with your three kids and their father. Like what role
Um,
that you could have played better?
well, if I
Do
knew
you
what I
think
knew
you did
then,
anything wrong? That's the first step. Like, you got to think you did something wrong first before you can say what you could have did better. If you think you did everything right, then you're not
uh,
gonna answer it the right way.
well, I don't know what I could have did right because, like I said, all of this was new to me. So when I did come into grips as to what was going on, um, it's like just with them alone, it's like a lot of stuff that I had to deal with on the back end, especially with her, because at 15 she decided to start running away, and we ended up going to court, and the court system gave custody to him at 15, and she lived with him then.
How did we
So
skip over that part?
I don't know. I don't know. It,
Girl, that's like very, very important, right?
mhm.
What?
Because if you lost custody of her at 15 years old, and they sent her to be with the very person that you think is the worst father in the world, how does that happen?
Okay, so in the state of Georgia, they tried to find a next of kin, and he was the next of kin to her. So they
Why did
didn't
they
want to.
say you had to lose custody? Because a runaway, they don't just automatically
Well,
take them from
no.
the
It
parent.
was it started in school to where she was getting into fights a lot, and I kept going up to the school, and then she started being disrespectful to me. So, but she was like, I wouldn't allow her to go outside when she wanted to, especially when I'm not at home. No, you can't go outside, stay in the house until I get home. She was in the 6th grade then. My daughter was in the 8th grade, and my son was in the 10th grade. So she wanted to go outside, and I wasn't at home. I was like 40 minutes away from my house at work. So at one point, I told my son, he was like, well, she wants to go outside. I said, well, don't let her go out. So at that point in time, she got upset. She pulled a knife, whatever. And I ended up calling the police or whatever to see if they can talk to her. So in the state of Georgia, they don't just take kids straight to juvenile. Basically, they have a point system, and you have to get so many points. I think it's 12. You have to get so many points in order for you to become um into go into juvenile. So she just kept running away, kept running away, kept running away. So when the police finally initially found her, they did take her into custody, but I had to go back and get her because they can't keep her. So we ended up finally going to court. I went to court to see what I can do, basically try to see if I can get her counseling or whatever to see what's going on. So it all boiled down to she was trying to be like her friends in school. They had boyfriends. She was having a boyfriend, but she was in the 6th grade. So, we not doing that. So we went to court. We went to family court, and the judge was like, okay, well, her dad is here. We're going to give him custody. And that's what she wanted, because there's no structure in the home. So
Right.
basically, I can go and do whatever I
Do what I
want.
want.
And in mom house, I can't do what I want. The only thing I asked her to do, keep your room clean, keep the kitchen clean, do your homework, do your classwork, whatever the case may be. That was it.
So
And in
how
dad's
did that
house,
turn out?
So that's the one that's with him now?
yeah. So that didn't work because that's where she got pregnant at. So she ended up, he was there, like I said, never there still, even to this, I mean, even then he was still in and out. They didn't have their own apartment. So the lady that he married, he ended up living with the other girl that he got two baby mamas. So the first one, well, the one after me, she went to South Carolina. He ended up meeting another one while he was with the one before he got married. So he was still, back and forth. So they didn't have anywhere to go because the apartment that they were in, they got evicted. So they ended up moving with his daughter's mother. So it was all of them. It was like four adults because it was two other adults and a baby in the house.
So
And then it
so
was
why did they think that he was the best person to?
well, they didn't. They just had to go by who was the next of kin. They don't look at who's the best. They just looked at who the next kin. It's all but what she said. She told the judge, "Well, I don't want to live with my mom. I want to live with
But
my
he
dad."
showed up for her. See, that's another thing a deadbeat wouldn't do. You know?
So
Yeah,
the
well,
so, so the
no,
judge allowed her
wait,
to
wait,
make that
wait, wait,
decision.
wait. Just wait a minute. So when they called, he came. The brother came. The girl that his brother was with, she came. And at the time, she was working in another county for defects. So, I lived in one county. She worked in another county. Two counties, you can't just make a case, and because that's what she was trying to do. She was trying to make a case because she got upset. That's when I was like, when the brother got mad because I put him on child support.
Child
She was trying to
support,
make a
right.
case
So
on
did that
me.
stick? Did they bring that up in court too?
No, no. It was just the case was really focused on my daughter.
Okay.
So after they gave him custody or whatever, we left the court. I was fine with that. I was like, well, this is where she want to be. That's where she want to be. But in the midst of her living there, at the time I was driving for FedEx, and I'm at work, and she was like, well, Mom, she was in school. Mom, I need some shoes. My shoes broke. I said, well, I can't do anything. I'm over here on this side of town, and besides, I'm in a company truck. I can't come way on that side of town. I said, well, call your dad. And still at the time he wasn't working. Well, he won't come. He said he's not coming. I said, well, there's nothing that I can do. I'm at work. Everything that she needed, even though he had custody of her, she was still calling me, asking me to help. So he took it upon himself to put me on child support. And the money that he was getting when she needed stuff, she kept calling me, Mom, I need this, Mom, I need that. She didn't even know he was getting child support. So he was using the money for himself. And he told her when she did find out, she started questioning him about it.
So
I don't
you
have to
have
tell
to
you.
pay him child support.
That's what he wanted, basically. Anything that's involved in anything, if it's dealing with money,
Girl, we should have been
he's gonna
talking
do it.
about this 30 minutes ago because it just changed it just shifted the whole
I wasn't, you know
mindset
what?
about
I didn't
him and
even
everything.
I didn't even think about that. Like I said, it's been a lot. So, when that situation happened, like I said, she ended up getting pregnant in his care. And after the baby was born, I think my grandbaby was like 6 months. He kicked her out. She ended up back in my house. I think she was 19. She ended up back in my house with the baby, and I initially had the child while she, still wanted to be a kid, and I didn't mind because I'm like, this is a baby. She needs to be taken care of or whatever. But um, he went and got Social Security check. He went and changed her last name to his. Um, he went and got Social Security check, but the only thing that he changed was her last name on the Social Security, never the birth certificate or anything. So right now, she's messed up with trying to do anything for herself. I'm trying to help her do it, but she won't go do it. So it's like, you wanted
The
to be over
baby
here,
lived there with him too?
huh?
Your grandbaby lived there with him too?
Yeah. hmm So I asked her, I said, like a couple of weeks ago, I said, the way that you were treated when he had custody of you, why are you back over here with him? She can't explain to me why she's back over there with him. But it's like, I don't know if it's get back. I don't know what it is, but she won't leave. But now it's like, well, I'm gonna give you custody of her next year because she dealt with some.
But why I say
Okay.
that though? Why I
What?
say the way he treated you, why you back over here with him?
Because
Be,
she's saying some stuff happened. That's why
well,
you wanted us to talk to her tonight. Because she gonna
um,
reveal some stuff that you can't.
no, because a lot of stuff that I'm telling you, she's told me. And a lot of stuff that went on, I knew about it because I was
But
on the
I'm
phone
saying
with her.
coming from the horse's mouth though.
Well,
Like
yeah, I mean, a lot of stuff with the stuff that happened. She called and told me, like
Well,
at
it
the
couldn't
time,
have
I
been
think.
too bad because she back over there with him.
Well, the only reason that she's there because the guy that I was with, she didn't like him, so she didn't want to live in my house.
Mm.
She didn't like him, but it was like, it was just a, can you do this? Can you do that? And he'll get up and do it, but she just didn't like him for whatever reason.
Why?
I
Why?
don't
Because he
know. She
had
just
rules.
pretty much. And you're not my dad, so I don't have to listen to you.
But she grown.
Yeah,
Not at the time, right?
no, no, no. Well, when she came back to my house, she was like 19.
Oh,
And
But
okay.
with a baby.
Yeah.
yeah.
How you gonna dictate what's going on in somebody and girl? Whoo, look, it's
So
definitely a lot.
so even with her being into his custody, like I said, I was paying, he put me up child support. He said, well, the people in court told me to do that. And I know they don't do stuff like that. Like, if it's not a lawyer, even the lawyers don't tell you to put the other parent up for child support.
But
So
how do that work? You got two of the kids and he got one. So how are you paying him child support?
because he went to the child support office and he applied for it, and he just, I don't know. It's not like I wasn't taking care of her. And like I said, it was dealing with the money because everything she needed, she kept calling me. Ma, I need clothes. I need shoes. I need this. I need that. I said, well, your dad.
Now we see why you won't spit on him if he on fire. We get it now. We get it.
Yeah,
So
that's what we were trying to figure out this whole time, and
yeah,
now it is crystal clear.
it's like over the
yeah.
years, it's just been a lot.
That's crazy. That's wild.
I don't know how I forgot about that. But typically, most of the time, when parents put the other parent up for child support, it's because that person is not doing anything. I've had her from day one up until they gave
Not
him
typically,
custody.
but
So it's like, it's not
Nah,
like I've never.
you could be doing something, the man to get put on child support.
right.
Well,
And,
That's
yeah,
and it's
that's
that's.
like
men.
you. It's the same situation
But
like
see,
you. You was doing
I,
everything and you still
I
got
get
put
that.
on it.
I get that. That's why I be upset with a lot of women. They'll put the dad up for child support, knowing that the guy is doing for the kid. Either you're upset because y'all not together, or you just want the money. So it's like, if he's doing, what's the purpose of you putting him on child support? It doesn't make any sense to me. That, to
Yeah.
me, that's dumb. Like, why would you put a
I
man
don't
up?
understand how if y'all had three kids, how is he putting you on child support for one? That doesn't make sense. Georgia
It's
It,
stupid.
it's
is
it's it's
yes.
crazy. It's crazy out here. So they, he was getting his little what, $75 a week or whatever he was getting from me. And when she became of age, where, actually I stopped paying because I was like, I'm not paying him nothing else. So I ended up being in the rears. But I only owe like two
So you
thousand
was a
dollars.
deadbeat.
I got mad. I wasn't gonna give him nothing else. But I was like, let me go on and pay this little $2,000. So I paid the $2,000, right? So she said something
Now
about,
you see
okay,
how these men feel. See, you can honestly speak and see how these men
yeah,
feel.
but it's like, okay, but like I said, it's kind of, it's dumb to me how the women put the man on child support that's doing. You just want money. And that was his
Yeah.
issue. Everything is revolving around money for him. So when she turned 18, once I paid that $2,000, there was no more money to come out of my pocket. That's why I said, let me go on and pay this and I'll be done with it. So when she told him, she was like, Dad, I'm finna go into school. This is what he said. Oh, where the check finna start back. How? The girl 18. What are you talking about? So he was
Because
thinking,
they will request child support for college students up until a
yeah, but
certain age.
she
So
didn't even finish high school, so that wasn't finna
yeah,
happen. She
he
was
thought
talking
that
about
that was
going
the
for,
money train was about to start back
You
flowing.
sound like them checks for the comeback.
I just cannot. I am
There
just
you go, man.
yeah. So when she
he
told him
tried to ask who's
she
the
was going
deadbeat. It's too much. It's too
When she
much.
told him she was going to go to school to get her GED, he was like, "So the check's finna start back coming again."
Oh
Oh
my god.
no!
Oh my
She was
god.
already. She was already what?
Yeah.
She was like, I think she was 20, and he was like, "So the check's finna start back." In order for
Well,
them,
now we know they belong together. She over there with him. Listen, it is what it is. We don't even got to touch on that. But I don't want to. It's just getting too. dragging
It's
out too
it's
much. But
it's,
this is
it's a
what
lot.
we meant when we said, "What would you do better?" Somebody in the comments said, when we asked the question, "What could you have done better?" Speak to your young black women who might be in similar situations as if you're advising your younger self. So if you could go back to talk to your younger self and say what to do differently, what would that look like? What would that sound like?
Um, I still I really never thought about it, so I don't know. When everything was going on, I just went with it,
No,
you
like
know.
if you could think about your life, like how it went,
Mhm.
and you could go back in time
I
and
would have never
redo
said
some
nothing to
stuff.
him.
So
I
you
would have
wish
never
you
said
never
nothing to him.
met him
I do.
at all.
I do. I do. I'm so serious.
Cause it seemed like you ain't really have a good support system
Yeah,
either.
you
I
was down
didn't.
there alone. You kept, having babies, which don't make no situation easier. Then he wasn't, what you probably expected him to be. And
Mm,
look where you are today. Look what trauma it's caused your kids. And so
yeah.
we just, again, this platform is a safe space. It's not one size fit all. Different thing, different,
Hmm.
situations happen in different relationships. But we just want to be clear on deadbeats, bitter baby mamas.
I
Is you a
wa-
single mamas? Is you a bitter baby? So where do you put yourself in that category? You call yourself a
Neither.
single?
I wouldn't say I'm bitter because at whatever he did, for himself, whatever he felt that it was okay for him to do, that was on him. I didn't have nothing to do with that. Whoever he was with, I didn't care as long as my kids weren't harmed in any type of way. So, I was a strict parent because my mom was strict with me. No, you can't do this. No, you can't do that. No, you can't go this place, because living here and just seeing how most of the kids are, I didn't want my kids to join into that crowd to where, you're 10 and 11, you're riding a train, and you're catching the bus by yourself, and you're with this person and you're with that person. It's like I did not want that. And it's a lot of kids out here. It's like the parents act more like the child
Their
than the child
friend.
does.
They act
So
like they're their friend.
it's like, I try to keep my kids, okay, even in school. Don't pick at nobody, you know what I'm saying? Don't, because I see a lot of kids that's here, that's a lot of foreign kids, their moms can't afford certain things. So, yeah, they come to school with high waters on and hair not combed. And it's like, that's not for you to pick at them just because it may look funny to you, but just keep that to yourself.
That's
So,
right.
my kids would try that. And I would, I know a lot of parents, like in the 2000s, they would call themselves, trying to embarrass their kids. And the one with the baby, she was trying to be grown before her age. So I went to the store and I bought every hair bow, every barrette that I could, and it was ponytails all over. You're going to be a child as long as you can. So
Yes.
and then, certain
I
schools,
gather you're saying you did the best. You
Yeah.
yeah,
did your best.
yeah. So
Um,
it's like I'm
And I just want to say something, just for all the people that say like you could have chose better. Like, how old were you?
that
Like
right
19?
there.
You was 19, right?
Yeah.
So how y'all know that wasn't her better at 19 with the mindset and
It's
what she
it's
had at
easy.
that
It's
point?
it's easy to say that people don't start changing until the kids come into the picture. People don't
okay.
start
Yeah.
changing until the kids come into the picture and the kids get a little older. So that's when people start changing. Stop saying that you should have chose better stuff because you don't know how somebody gonna act until you're with them for a little amount of time and until the child comes. That is a stupid saying. Because
Right.
even you saying that, and half of y'all mom and y'all dad wasn't shit. So come on now. You could have chose a better mother or father, but you can't choose your parents.
Yeah, I mean, nobody goes out to deliberately pick
Exactly.
somebody,
I mean,
deliberately pick
everything,
somebody that's not gonna be a part to make it worse for them and the kid. Like,
but
I don't think nobody plans for that.
every relationship, any relationship, is always decent in the beginning until a person gets comfortable. And when you start noticing stuff, I didn't notice. I didn't start noticing stuff until like if I'm at work all day or if I'm in school. How am I going to notice certain things? Yeah, you're in the house with your kids. I come home, you're still in the house with your kids. But then, I'm tired, so and I still got to come home and deal with my kids. How am I going to notice certain things? Once I stop doing so much stuff and I start paying attention, then yeah, that's when I started noticing stuff. So I didn't notice nothing right off. I'm in school. I'm working. Trying to better myself for my kids. I'm not paying attention to really what he's doing as long as my kids is being taken care of. So it's
Right.
like it was red flags. I just didn't see them because I was busy trying to get myself situated for them because they were
I think,
younger.
I think, I think, I think. Really, you just didn't know what red flags to look for at
I
19. Like,
did it because,
what are
like I
you really
said, this
looking for
was
at 19?
I didn't know. Like I said, when
Exactly.
he started, when he started, the crazy thing when he started cheating, his cousin and his cousin boyfriend knew. Everybody knew but me. No, I didn't know anything. They didn't come tell me, and no, it
That's
wasn't their
usually
place.
how it happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I didn't know, and then when it did come to me, I still didn't know what to do and what to react to. So it's like I didn't know until I got older to understand what was going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nobody told
So,
me, okay, well, watch out for this, watch out for that. I didn't know.
That I mean,
So
that's
yeah,
fair.
that's fair.
That's fair. I mean, I just again, we thank you for coming up, sharing your story.
Yeah.
mhm.
Um, just give us a quick summary of what you feel about the platform because a lot of women is not supportive of who's the deadbeat for many reasons. So that's what we want to reach. We want to
Well,
reach the crowd because they think we biased. They think we bash women. We this, we that. But clearly, you a woman that felt comfortable enough to get up here and talk. So
mhm,
that couldn't be the case, right?
it wasn't. It's like I said, I don't like the fact when because we see videos a lot on YouTube and everywhere, even on your page, that the dad comes to their visitation, it's time for their visitation, and the mom is still holding on to the child. Well, you can't they're not getting in the car until I see the car seat. If that ain't the most pettiest, stupidest thing I have ever seen and heard, like, if he come to pick up the child, let him go. You let
Yes.
him or her go. Like, why are you sitting there just because you're mad the girlfriend sitting in the car, or the girlfriend at the house? Like, what they supposed to be by themselves forever just because y'all not together, but then you may or may not have a dude at your house. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's like you're
Exactly.
mad because you're not together, but then you want to get mad if it's somebody else in his life. And then sometimes it just happened like first time based, sometimes a lot of times where it be y'all first time, and then your first time basically you get pregnant and whatever, and you figure, okay, well, we got a baby, we gonna be together. A baby don't hold no man, a baby don't hold no woman, because
Okay.
even most men be trying to do that. They'll try to get the girl pregnant to stick around. It don't help.
Nah,
It
the
doesn't
baby
help
ain't
because
holding keeping nobody with
no.
nobody. So y'all can forget
And then
that.
it's like, even if y'all get together, y'all okay. What if his mother don't like you? What if the family members treating you dirty, and he's allowing it, and it's still going on? And because it's his mom, sister, or whatever, he's not gonna say nothing to them. But then you do have some that do correct them, but now they don't want to have nothing to do with him because he's taking up for you. It's stupid that the women.
Ultimately, don't none of that shit got nothing to do with the kids.
At
No,
all.
it doesn't.
The
It
kids
doesn't. It's
always
like
suffer.
We always
it
like to
does.
be clear that we do this for these
Yep.
kids. Like we
Yep.
we support, you know, the people and the parents, and we do care. And we want to hear the short stories because we've been through it and we've been
Mhm.
there where we were alienated and all of that, and we can help you get through it. But ultimately, you got to be willing to take action so that you can save your kid. That's it.
Yeah.
A lot
Yep.
of people come to us to save them, but if you not about saving your kid, then it's nothing we can really do for you.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's just 100% honesty. But thank you
Thank
so
you.
much, Brooklyn, for joining
You're
us.
Yeah.
welcome.
Keep us posted. I mean, if your daughter want to come up and chop it up,
Yeah.
we'll give us some tips as well.
Might be
Oh,
a
she
little
Because
rough
she
on her.
she she really needs some tips, because sometimes I'll be about to wring her neck. She's 23 and I still don't care. I still threaten my kids to this day. I don't care. It's like if I don't do it, it's like, I'm not so much as trying to put fear in them. I just want them to know, first of all, don't try me. Second of all, y'all got to know, if I don't tell you, the next person don't tell is not going to tell you, because nobody told me nothing. So I had to learn everything the hard way. I'm trying to get them not to, and if they
Well,
do,
they
they
probably
know
gonna have
how
to
to
learn it the
handle it.
hard way too, because they don't listen. They
Yeah,
don't
well,
listen, but we
that's
not gonna
something.
sit back and watch nobody that we know of, heard of, can possibly reach, alienate a kid, or don't fight against the alienation that the parent is doing to the child, because we know the
Mm,
damage that it can cause, and it's a lifelong journey
Yeah,
of rebuilding and
yeah.
healing. And
yeah,
it's just, if you can prevent it, that's
yeah.
what
So
we're here for.
tell her to holler at us.
Yeah, tell her to
Yeah,
follow the page. She
I
We'll
might
told
not
her
like
about
it.
your page.
We'll
I
be
told her
on
about your
Friday.
page.
We'll be on
Okay.
Friday at
She
7.
probably don't want to follow it, because if we get wind of her doing it and her baby daddy send us a video of her not giving that baby up, she gonna be right there on that platform
Well,
pissed off.
initially, I mean, every now and again she gets into her moods to where, no, you can't get her this, and this, and I have to ask her why, like what happened. Something had to go on, but I mean, I don't like for her to go over there, because like she'll go over there. Like right now, it's still kind of warm in Georgia, but when she comes back, she has a bad cold. Like, what happened? What is going on? Every time she come over there, she's sick. His mom don't like my grandbaby because she don't like her. So it's like you're allowing this child to go over
That's
there. 'Cause
still her grandbaby though.
mm,
And if she don't
yeah,
do it right, that's on her. It ain't nothing y'all can do. That's them people baby too.
true. But if she ends up getting hurt in the process of her being there and nobody can
Then you
explain, then
then
it's a
you do what
problem.
you gotta
Yeah,
do.
you gotta
Then
take
it's
the next
Take
you
take the
take the
necessary
necessary steps
steps.
to do the right thing instead of
yeah,
just keeping the kid from. That's not the right thing. Even
yeah.
though she think it is ways to doing it that's right to
That's
protect you
and
and
your child.
yeah,
Yeah.
because ultimately he can possibly take her to court and end up taking the baby, and then
Well,
And
he
y'all
gotta
on the other
he
end
gotta
of the
get
stick.
he has to get legitimized first. They don't do that. You gotta get legitimized first. Sign the birth certificate.
that's only a
A piece of a
papers.
paperwork. Yeah.
Yeah,
They ain't did nothing yet. They ain't did nothing yet. They ain't even did DNA test. They ain't did nothing yet. And I keep telling her to go do it, but it's just all talk right now. So,
Okay.
all right, all right. You
Well,
have a good
thank you,
night.
Brooklyn. You
you
enjoy the
too.
rest of your night.
You
All right.
too.
All right.